so back to men and emoting their anger. And I think we've all dealt with narcissists and their inner rage that then later becomes very passive aggressive or just flat out aggressive. I would ask the ladies the question that I would ask you all, or Debbie, would you rather have a man say it like it is and show his anger in the moment, or suppress it and
just
know that he was hurting, and knowing that he was angry and not able to vocalize?
No, I like to talk about things, get it out. I don't like playing this narcissistic game that I played for so long, for years. It was just a game. It wasn't real. I'm emotionally unavailable. Brenda hit it on the head. I didn't realize until all this narcissist thing happened with me, I am emotionally unavailable. I thought I was emotionally available. I really did. Until this all came out, I was like, I'm the one who's emotionally available. That's why I keep picking these losers. I rather have somebody, I want to get messy, I guess. It's fine. I don't want to pretend everything is silver perfect. I'm tired of, it's exhausting of me trying to be perfect all the time. It's bad enough at work. I have to do it. And I chose to do it probably because of my upbringing. I had to be perfect. And I'm in a job that I really don't care for and never knew why until I realized.
That you enjoyed the messiness and you're in the job that you like because you enjoy the outside banter. It's not even banter. That's demeaned into what you do, but
no, I actually like
conflict, I guess.
I actually like seeing good cases, good attorneys, good, really law-sided, true law-sided, not this bullshit cases that don't apply to this case, citing cases from a first department and we're in a second department. I have nothing to do. They just waste time. They're just time wasters. I want to see the real thing, the real lawsuit, not this excess bullshit.
Yeah, but that's the drama of the law, though, isn't it? Isn't that half the fun?
But it gets tiring. It gets tiring all the time. Our patience is spent. Like, it's enough already. Stop. You know. And that's why our cases are backed up to 2014.
24.
No, we're backed up. We're still doing cases from 2014.
Oh, 2014 to now.
7 years.
Yes, and then COVID happened, so I think they settled a lot. I think a lot of settling went on, and I think what wasn't settled is actually going to be really tried now. But yeah, we're backed up, and this is why a 3-day trial is turning into a 3-week trial. It's, that's why the wheels of justice, they say. But like Deb, like you, I'm sure you feel the exact same way, right? You would rather speak with somebody head on.
Yes. Yeah. To have that conversation.
Yes.
So but to know later and find out later that you've had all this anger and you haven't expressed it.
Exactly.
Is there proof that you actually have done this?
Is there proof that I've actually done this or experienced it?
Yes. This is the ideal.
The idea
this is the preference, but have you faced?
But Deb, how did you go when I had my heated words? Didn't it scare the shit out of you?
No.
Okay.
It didn't. Some of the things that you said probably needed to be said. And I was in agreement with some of it and wish that I had the balls.
But I'm saying, my point is that did it scare you, or was it?
I was not scared.
Because what? Okay, cool.
I was not scared. I was uncomfortable, but I
Right.
wasn't
But
scared.
so what I'm saying is that we all want honest conversations and we all want that sort of interplay. However, when it really happens in 3D, it can be way too confronting. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed is that, it gets uncomfortable. And, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever. But that's just my take on it. I knew I was going to make people uncomfortable, and that was one of the chances I took.
I just realized when you said, I'm angry, that's all you were saying was, I'm angry. I don't know why I couldn't receive that. I mean, obviously. I was waiting for more. That's what I'm saying. I was waiting for more. I was like, okay, talk. I was expecting you to talk about it, but what you were saying
But he did talk about it. He did
yeah,
talk
he
about
did.
it.
He had previously talked about it, but
He said, I've been on here for 2 hours. This is a waste. I feel like this is a waste of my time. I feel like we're talking in circles. Nothing's being discussed. There's a lot of borderline going on here. He said, he stated.
But how did
Ali
you feel?
didn't. Yeah.
How did who feel? Brenda? Anybody?
Any of you?
Yeah. Well, so yeah. So,
I actually enjoyed it. I love the forthrightness of your
Says the New Yorker. Bring it on. It was awesome.
Yeah, but Debbie, that's cheating because of what you do for a living, right?
So Brenda, so I'm sorry. So Deb.
Blood on the walls. Awesome.
I'm wondering. Okay, so it was almost like his expressing his anger made me feel like I was supposed to do something about it. That's my codependency. So does that hit you anywhere?
You said that his expressing his anger and expressing how he felt that you had dominated the conversation, that he was stating from experience, something we were all experiencing. And you're continuing to push back only exacerbated the situation. Instead of listening, instead of taking, and it's really hard to sit and take criticism, and instead of sitting still and giving pause and listening to what he was saying and how you were, affecting him, it could probably use, just to give pause and listen when people get that heated and feel the need to interject, and that they are, I don't even think it was just a triggering, that we all, we come to these meetings, there's time, and it needed to be said. And you kept pushing him. And I really, I was like, oh, I wish you would just ohm it down. I wish you would just listen. And I think that you feel picked on, and you respond with anger, and you respond with more aggression. So the more you feel picked on, the more aggressive you become.
I'll say that two things about that conversation.
That wasn't the
also,
question I had for you, but go ahead. I wasn't asking. That wasn't what I was asking you, but go ahead.
Were really familiar. And the first one was kind of someone giving an example, and that example being clamped onto for hours, right? Instead of kind of following the main point, we were following the examples and saying they weren't clear, they weren't this, weren't that. And I spent many a night not sleeping, going round and round in circles with my ex-husband, doing the same thing, and with my mother. I was on 95, so I didn't react to that, but that to me I wouldn't say it's triggering, it was familiar. And then the second thing really had to do with kind of the inability to cede any point. You could be right? That you could feel that your point is right, but no point was cedable. And to me, that was just, again, really familiar and could have been triggering. I decided not to be triggered by it.
It's a way of keeping you in relationship, keeping you in the dynamic. Round and round and round and round and round.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Any attention is good attention.
Are you saying I was seeking attention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was seeking attention to try and understand where we were because I was lost. I really was. But okay.
I think I agree with that. I think the struggle, if I could be so bold to suggest, is it's hard to understand where you end and we begin.
Well, you're accusing me of narcissism.
No, not accusing you of anything.
Oh, codependency. All right.
No, I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying it's a boundary.
Well, it's a lack of boundary, would you say?
It's worth exploring. I think it's sort of, the reason I asked the question is,
Yes,
you know,
I was being demanding. Absolutely. That's what you're getting at. Because I was like, wait, I'm not with you guys.
Oh.
Wait for me. Wait for me. And you guys were, what's going on?
I'm just glad to hear that you're telling us how you feel. I'm just glad to hear that you know where you are.
That I know what?
That you know where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big step, because I think that's what that was. There was a feeling of being lost in all this for all of us, and it's sort of like I felt I wanted to break it so that we could all work out where we were. I get the impression you've kind of discovered that. Would be my.
To simplify it down, this urgency, this discomfort with knowing, this discomfort with what's coming next, that sort of pace is common with codependence, but it's probably amplified from pandemic isolation too. Because we're
Sorry,
not.
Dave, can you just repeat that first bit again? What is it that is?
I think he means
Urgency.
not knowing what's coming next.
Urgency plus
Okay.
not knowing, unpredictability and urgency. But the urgency gives the edge to the person that has most freak out.
Yes,
The
I was
craziest
freaking
person
out.
gets the edge of the first word or the fastest. So the person who's most urgent, most
Wait, what was
triggered.
that?
Like that, see?
Wait,
Then you
what
can start
was-
Wait, I'm
changing the
lost.
narrative.
I'm lost. What are you talking about? I need a concrete example. I don't know what that is.
You have a
Explain
meme
it.
for that.
Explain it.
Dave, where is it? Wait, what was it? Wait, you have a meme for that. You have a recording.
Do you see how that tactic works? So you put a demand and then suddenly you can... the crazy or the most urgent person, the most lost person can suddenly dictate the conversation. And it's based on their irrationality. And once you let crazy lead, everybody loses.
Get my marriage.
Yeah, once
Yeah,
you
it's a
let crazy
strategy.
lead, then Kurt's getting married.
I'm sorry, what? Kurt's getting married? I don't understand.
To who? When? I need
And
an example.
whenever crazy's
need
leading,
details.
that means Kurt's getting married.
So the bonus of this meeting is you get exposure with just pure urgency and pure chaos.
Yeah.
Though Bradford, you also did the complaint of playing victim. Like, oh, I spent 2 hours being wasted, blah, 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 a victim plea. And no one called you out on that.
You just did.
It
We were
bothered
very
me.
Well, I
very
tried to
uncomfortable
explain.
collectively.
It bothered me. I was the one who was.
You're comfortable in your lack of comfort, I think, would be the way I'd put it. Yeah, I mean, and look, I sat there marinating away and just getting angrier and angrier.
But this
And
is
that's
mild
my-
compared to Michelle. Have you
And
seen
yeah,
the
I heard
language
about
traps
it.
video?
That was a totally different realm. Yeah.
Except
She
that was
kept walking
a new
into it.
person. So,
Well, we allow for. I mean, like Holly is part of the group, and we allow for a lot. Just like anyone else, we all learn from each other, and it's not like we're all ganging up against Holly at all by any stretch of the imagination. So
no, that was today.
And we get proof on
So-
everybody.
Come on,
Yeah,
be
it
honest.
was,
we-
and
we-
I snapped. I snapped, and that's me. I get to a point, and I'll just snap.
Wait, you
That
didn't
was
snap. I
beautiful.
asked you a question. I asked you a question, and then you weren't triggered. You were sitting perfectly still, and then I can't remember what I asked you, and I gave you the floor.
he was still,
you
but
ran with it.
I was venting at Bradford, and Bradford was commenting back to me. I was passive aggressively dumping my shit in Bradford's lap, and he was
Acting it out.
yeah
So it's Kurt's fault.
yeah
Kurt's a shit stir.
yeah.
No, you can't. No, he's not getting the credit for this. I'm taking. This is my victory lap. This is my victory lap. But it's not about that. I think it's. I think this. I think that's a valid point. But I think. I think for me, I've noticed this with relationships, and it's a good point that Deb makes. Is that I just get to a point, and it's like you can bend me to a point, and then I'll just snap. And that's not necessarily a good thing, in as much as I could have said something a lot earlier, right? But, I didn't. I sit and I wait and I go, okay, maybe it'll get better, and eventually it won't, and then off we go. And that's why I stuck a bomb under it.
But I
Because there's
think
no
it's
other
more
way.
effective.
There was no other way, in my view, there was no other way to diffuse it. Right? We were trying everything. We were going round in circles. Nothing was resolving. That was my view. Was that's the only way was to call it out.
You notice the language we're using with Bradford about blowing up and all this
Metaphors.
aggression or whatever. Yeah, but he
Okay.
was nowhere near. He was nowhere near as aggressive or disrespectful, from my perspective, as
Right.
Holly was.
Right.
But
That's what I was trying to
he's
tell you
being
all.
called. But he's being
Sure.
called aggressive and lost it or lost his patience or whatever. But he
He's
was
saying
still
that
way
about
more
himself.
composed.
Who's
He
saying?
said that.
Who's judging
Nobody's-
Bradford?
Yeah, he's saying that
Right.
himself.
Those are his words.
Yeah,
Well,
he
because
described
it was so difficult to break that boundary, to get across the implied or felt level of I must conform, I must go along, I must make it all okay, and then that snap required at a level of feeling that I mean I know I'm not comfortable with. So
Was
And that's
I
my
making-
point. My point is like the level of
What?
aggression that's acceptable or that he allows for himself is
Okay.
is different than the other side. Whereas the other side was way worse, but it was seen as it's okay. I have a right to act this way. Whereas
By
he
the
recognized
person,
even
but we didn't see
right.
it as okay.
So is Kurt saying that I was making Bradford feel a certain way?
Oh,
You said
I don't think you can make me feel a certain way, Holly. I don't think it's that. It's more that I think it's the energetic interplay between us was very different. That's what
Yeah,
I think. If I can put words in Aman's mouth, is that what
there's
is that
something
what we're
that
getting
Kurt,
at?
I mean,
I think
I guess it
Aman
wasn't
was
that it
saying-
was feeling,
The
but it was-
perception.
I'm trying to. It's a good example of what was talked about earlier, where it's like we're not being loud or talking, with more bass or whatever,
I think
and getting
Iman
aggressive.
is getting triggered and he wants
Yeah.
to complain.
No, I'm pointing it out.
If you're gonna do
Maybe
it,
I am
just
triggered. I don't know.
blast us. Don't
Just
give us
talk.
a side
Yeah.
thing. Just
That's what I was
blast
trying
us.
to say. Just be mad.
Yeah,
No, I'm not being mad. I'm just saying, like,
we want you to be mad.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
It's
all right.
so hard.
It's hard to be mad for some.
it is for some of us. It's very difficult to fully embrace and own our own frustration in these situations.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
well-
that's super advanced teaching, owning your aggression.
So, Iman,
That's
do you
like
feel
another
like
bonus.
you feel like there was license given to me that wasn't given to Bradford? Is that what you're saying, or to some other female in the room?
Or that you took?
I don't think given is the right word, but I'm also saying is there's more restraint on being on usually and from a male side where it's we can't, if we go to a certain level, it's the on off switch. It's not a dial. So he was still composed.
That's
He
your
hadn't
problem.
gotten to the point.
Don't hold
Maybe
back,
I'm not
Iman.
explaining it well.
Don't hold back.
Yes, you are.
Keep
Bradford-
going. Keep
Bradford-
going.
Aggression.
Got in, got out. He got in. He made his
You
statement.
just backed out from me.
He said how he was
Why?
feeling, and he got out of the conversation. Holly surfed in the conversation. Her aggression escalated. Holly, you're just the interaction back and forth. It was perceived as very aggressive, and it kept escalating and escalating. Bradford made his statements, and then it just became this, just aggressive. It became aggressive and escalated.
I set a number of boundaries that were being disrespected continuously.
Right.
I was being interrupted, I was being spoken over, and I held a boundary and another boundary. But I did make a comment that I felt that the men in the room were angry. Iman, were you angry?
I think what angered me the most was anytime someone was trying to get half a thought out, there was no floor room to speak. As soon as they go to say something, like something would trigger Holly and she would dive in aggressively and cut people off.
What's
And
wrong
it
with
was
cutting
like-
people off?
Because they're not able to actually frame everything that they're saying. They're kind of
That's the point of cutting someone off.
Okay, well, I don't know what I personally don't like that. So you can frame it however you want, Beef.
Yeah, Bradford called me out.
That's
He
what
said
I'm
I
trying
was
to get
shutting-
you to get it angry so
shut
you can
him
stand
down.
up for yourself.
Right, you're backing down. You
Right.
backed down from me. You could have just told me off just now, and you didn't. I said that what I said on purpose. You're backing down from Deef. Like, we're on the phone. We can't do you anything.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get pulled down to the mud and play. I'm just listening in. I'm trying to.
It's not about mud.
express-
You're saying you're pissed off here. Now you're getting higher up and you're judging us. So this is worse than mercy where we're looking down. Now you're taking a top-down position. I'm not going to be muddy like the rest of you
Oh,
mere mortals who
so you
express
think
your
you're better
anger.
than us? Well, there you go. Well,
Trying to
Yeah,
hide your
well,
triggers, but you're triggered. You can't hide your
That-
triggers. Triggers
that's been-
obvious.
Well, I'm not hiding my trigger. I was explaining it. I whatever reason, it was very hard to follow the conversation. It was
That's
every
the point.
time someone would get. Okay.
because there was no.
That's what
it
anger
was, It was
does.
all over the place. It was all over the place. It was everywhere. That was the problem. That's what was pissing me the fuck off.
Yeah, and
Right.
to the point of why it triggered me is it reminded me of like arguments with my ex. Because as soon as I was trying
That's
to make a
the
point,
bonus you're
she would
getting here.
interrupt. She
Exactly.
would interrupt me
You're getting
every
exposure
time,
therapy to
and then
relive those
deflect and all
battles.
this stuff.
Yes.
This is how I ended up having to deal with
This-
my mother. It doesn't go well, right? But this is how these are the conversations. And what exes was exactly the same, right? And it didn't fix it. I mean, I can hold as many boundaries as I want, but I got to vent, but it didn't fix it. It's more about me feeling the anger, going, you know what, it's pissing me off, and I'm going to tell you. And then deal with the consequences of that. And the consequences are being cut out of the will, broken up with. But you know what? I'd rather have that than anything else. It's true.
Yeah, you have peace of mind.
Well,
Be true to yourself.
yeah. Well, no, it's more
Because
than
you don't
that.
have to play the game anymore.
Yeah, you kind of remove cognitive dissonance from your life. I mean, you
Call it that.
remove the
Yeah.
pain.
You can see that when someone tries it on me, how far they get. Not very.
So there's a speed to using anger.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
part
say
of
that.
speeding. Yeah, see. So
No, that's why I had fun tonight with Holly, because it gave me practice on the speed and aggression, especially aggression that the first attack is against manhood, or it's almost like a low blow. So you see what I'm saying? That's how women fight. Also, in terms of just escalating the
oh,
anger,
no, this is just fighting
criticism,
dynamics.
shame.
Yeah.
And they're much faster, and I've never been able to keep up in a fight, especially with a woman.
Because if you
Brain gets
argue
flooded
to
and you start
slow it
Because it's
down,
a different fight. You just don't have this. You have to have a different fight. Completely different fight.
Yeah.
so you got to keep up with speed.
Oh, yeah.
But in order to keep up the speed, if they're fast, just as fast as you have to break their rhythm.
Well, he's also
You have
talking
to knock
about the
them off their
content.
game as a sporting metaphor. So if a cornerback wants to slow down the receiver, they usually can hit them the first 5 yards. Bradford probably knows nothing.
Gridiron. Yeah, right. That's cool.
But if you're playing against someone who's fast,
Aussie rules, right?
you want to interrupt their rhythm to slow them down. And then you want to take the initiative of amping up your speed. So Eric got practice with speed.
Right. Because now don't get stuck on the emotion of every attack.
Because when you get stuck on the emotion of every attack, that's what I was arguing for earlier. If you want to cry baby and play forgiveness, I'm going to withhold love, you're being slower. And if your opponent's using anger and aggression and speed, you're always losing. You have to forget the last battle and prepare for the next one.
But the problem is, Steve, you can't have arguments about religion with people. I think, if we're going to talk about Bibles and stuff, I'm not a religious man. I had a religious upbringing, but the minute we go down that rabbit hole, we're just wasting our time. The Bible says this. The Bible, and that's why I posted all that bullshit on. The Bible also says that we shouldn't eat, we can't have lobster, and we can't
you're
wear
following
cotton
their
and wool
frame.
and all that. Exactly. There's no point.
They're framing the
that's
Bible
really
and
great.
you're
Let's talk
following the
about something
argument.
else.
You don't have to follow.
No. Let's talk about the Quran
Everybody's
instead.
offended because I speak from the Bible. You guys just like
Oh,
No,
it's also
you-
like a pick and
freak
choose,
out
right? I
when I
pick
do
what
that.
I want to follow, and then I discard the other things that don't
well, that's
that I
what
don't
you think.
like.
That's what you
Our
think. That's
topic
what you
isn't-
say. That's
Our
okay.
topic isn't the Bible. This is
don't
not a
agree.
Bible group.
Okay, so this
Well,
is good.
Talk about
So
the
this
Bible.
is the theme that
But I
Bradford said,
speak
that
from the Bible, and
you
I
can
think
respond to people who use the Bible. I would say you can.
Yeah, don't
But you
get
guys are
triggered by the
arguing
word
against the Bible
If
words.
I
Well,
spoke
yeah,
it
You have to
without,
here's my
argue
line.
if I
the
spoke
words.
these things without scripture or without saying
You could
where I'm getting
challenge
it
them
from,
if they're living the
what does
Bible
it matter?
principles.
I don't accept the Bible. I don't accept
Yeah,
the
but no,
Bible as
see, once
anything
you
else
do
That's
that-
except
fine. I'm not asking you to.
Yes,
That's
you
a
are.
side.
Wait,
That's
By
a side
No, I'm
saying
argument.
the
not.
Bible
not.
constantly, you
No, I'm
are
not.
telling us
Ignore-
to listen to the Bible.
Ignore the Bible
Ellie.
framing. You don't need to go there. It's a
Right.
waste of time.
Stick it with you, your opinion.
No, I mean right
I
now
just don't
you guys
accept
are
it.
fighting
Well,
the
do I
Bible
have a
framing.
right to my opinion?
You don't need to.
You do have it your opinion. Fuck the Bible. Tell us your opinion.
Yeah.
See, now people get
Maybe you
triggered.
can get it through. I don't know, Deef.
Look, I just don't accept the Bible. I don't
There's a
accept
lot
the
of
teachings there.
baggage
No,
from the
not
Bible
interested.
because the evangelists are so aggressive. Yes, so we get triggered when someone throws it out there. But you don't have to argue that frame. You just you tell them to prove it. Are you living it?
Book of Mormon.
Because the Bible has
Quran.
ideals, but no one lives it. And then you challenge
all
any of the
bullshit.
words. It's
No one
empty.
can live it. No
So-
one can live it 100%.
So then it's a worthless pointer because no one can
No.
live it.
No, it's not.
So then I disarm it.
It's a really good thing. The Bible's a really good book to just bash up gay people, and that's that's about all it
Pretty
does.
useful
Really.
for
The
it's pretty
Bible
useful
doesn't
for
even
that.
barely
Very
talk
handy.
about people.
Yeah.
The other
That's
problem
the
is
book,
people who
it's-
use it don't read it. They have no idea what it says.
Anyway, that's the problem.
People are challenging
Can't argue
the
it.
meeting. Why are you guys doing this in the chat?
That's a Kurt message.
No, that's Crystal.
Yeah,
and
you are
Debbie.
He
such a
says
naughty
we're playing
boy.
it out. So how are we playing it out?
How did I not cover the topic today?
It's your fault. You fucked up, Deef.
No mercy for you.
Yeah, because people are
How did I
trying to
not
get
cover mercy?
justice.
How did I not? How did other people outplay justice? Everybody was being disgusted and arguing rules. That's too much justice.
Where's my justice? It's not fair.
Yeah, everyone arguing for fairness and blah blah blah. That's justice. And then I played the other side of role modeling mercy. Because I could have killed people's ridiculous attacks multiple times that I withheld. I let it play out. That's mercy.
So that's, yeah, okay, that's mercy.
Right.
You have a sword and you hold it back.
Right.
Or if you wrestle someone to the ground and they say mercy, you let them go, right? You don't like murder
just
them
don't
or
engage.
whatever.
You let it, you're right,
You
you let
have
it
to
go.
engage.
You don't have to engage. Let it go.
You give it space. Sometimes
Okay.
when you say you don't have to engage, that can imply you don't have to play the game, which isn't always
Maybe.
true. Sometimes it is. But
But
if
you
you
also
don't
want
play the game and you're out of the game, then you're creating a blind spot. Part of your issue, Deb, by you not being in the gossip circle. Now you have more blind spots.
I definitely have those.
So every move you make, they can counter move. And every move you make and they make is within the rules of reality. So you got to learn the rules of reality, social rules. We talked about the unspoken words of male combat and female combat. And everyone falls into that unconsciously.
I guess it's just like even the back and forth with the Bible, like we've just said, no Bible references. I think it would be if Holly just stated
Yes,
any
but that's
statement.
a whiny argument. That's a
Really?
codependent, whiny argument.
It's like,
I'm not whining.
Disarm the Bible thing by just saying, use it, I'll shit talk you, I'll punish you when you use it. You're enforcing the rule by behavior, not by crying rules.
Okay.
Because I use gradual escalation, but people don't see it, so then people think I'm doing nothing.
I see it.
No, you're in stealth mode. I can tell. Sitting back there like, yeah, and then in you go.
So that's timing. So once you get outside of the urgency trap, that's what the emotional escalation is going to try to get you to be sloppy, be urgent, be panicking. And when you panic, you fall back to your old patterns because you can't create a new pattern. Because you have to act fast.
But what if you're acting from a place when you engage in a heated conversation or a discussion about the end game? The what, where do we want to be at the end of this conversation? What is to be
Well, you
gained,
have
and
that
how is
goal.
our relationship going to be enhanced?
Does the
from
other
this
person have that
discussion?
goal?
I don't care.
You want to force endgame conversation with somebody who might not want to have an endgame conversation?
Yes, if it isn't for resolution,
By
and you better
definition,
enhance our
narcissists do
relationship,
not
then
want to
this is-
talk endgame.
Say that one more. That narcissists
By
don't.
definition, narcissists would never want to talk endgame, or they'll lie. They don't want to genuinely talk.
So that's a weeder outer for my picker. When I enter into a conversation or a heated discussion,
Yeah, if you can't
Maybe
resolve the
codependents
problem.
also
you
don't
go
want
for
to
the
do this.
jugular. You don't go for
Okay,
the jugular. but if you wanna have
codependents
a
also
relationship-
don't want to talk genuine endgame.
Yeah.
Well, I
so
thought I was talking to you guys.
So when you ask the question,
Mm.
do you want to have a relationship where anger is expressed? Can you hold space for that? Because after that conflict, you come to an understanding. If you don't come to an understanding, then there's a problem.
Correct. I do want to see the anger. I do
Well,
want to
no.
know if they're angry.
The understanding is a false trap. It's a false pointer. It's an ideal. But you never really
Okay.
ever
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, you might not
It's
necessarily
impossible.
agree, but you come to, okay, all right, I hear you.
So
But does
that's
it build intimacy? Does it build intimacy?
I would say you want to have a realistic human goal. And understanding is a delusional utopia goal.
Yeah, okay.
It's a nice pointer. So the general idea of understanding is good, but you never really reach it. So if you have a conflict, the goal, if you want to have a more healthy relationship, is part of what Bradford said with the rupture repair pointer. But it's after you have a conflict with someone else in a long-term relationship, it's can you adapt and improve and learn from that?
And not say
That's all.
things during the heated
No, that's
conversation.
just learn from it. No, not
Right?
see, that's an injunction. No, that's too high. That's later. Just simply learning from the conflict. So next time you do a little better. That's all. Any bigger goal is delusional.
Yeah.
Because you want to first tolerate anger, tolerate intensity.
Yeah.
So my ex, she was a type 1 counter dependent. She could get angry. And I could I yielded and whatnot. But when I got angry when she crossed the boundary or value system, I took it up to her at a bar Louie. And it was just a simple thing, like my best friend, he was sleeping with someone else, but it's because him and his borderline wife haven't officially separated. Even though they were living separate, they weren't officially divorced. And because they weren't officially divorced, she would have judgment on him having a relationship outside of it. And it wasn't even her business, but I was counseling him because he had his borderline wife and we had a loan, so I'm loaning him some money. So if he goes crazy, I have financial hit. So for my personal benefit, I'm helping him to try to navigate. So I talked to my girlfriend about this, so I'm saying it. And then she would judge him because of his behavior of having a relationship, not being officially divorced.
Which is outside of the conversation.
Yes, it's outside, but it triggered
It's
her
outside of the
value system.
conversation. Irrelevant.
So she would judge me and judge him, and she would use her justice, her disgust mechanism on me. And I explained I had financial thing and multiple things, long history. And she wouldn't budge on that judgment value system. So I let her do it, and then eventually I called her out on it at a restaurant in public. I just said, this is my stance, this is my friend, and that's it. I didn't use raised tone, I didn't use anger, I just used pure value system. Took a stand.
And
then she freaked out, got angry because she never felt that intensity. So then she played victim on me for doing it in public, because she, being a woman, had never faced a male stand or die type of anger.
what do you mean she'd never experienced male anger in her life?
Well, he said
She experienced,
stand or
like,
die.
acted out.
He
But
never,
stand or die. Men are willing
I
to
love
take a
that.
stand to the point of death.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's like.
But most men
that's where
acted
it's
out.
at. That's where it's
Most
at.
men can't hold their temper, their anger, to take a stand calmly and just be willing to die for it. Most people act it out. So they'll punch or physically act it out. Because it's
Steve, you
character.
did that in public, you said.
Well, it's in a bar. It was over dinner, so it wasn't... I didn't
Okay.
make a scene. I just said, this is a situation that's unacceptable. That's unfair.
Sounds logical
Setting a
and
boundary.
reasonable, and it was just the two of you at dinner. You didn't embarrass her in public. It was just a
But the
enough.
intensity of that male aggression surprised her. Shocked her.
Steve, that's kind of what I was talking about. Even when we watch the Kevin Samuels, that's also the thing that comes up, right? They're not used to having a man tell them reality. So they get very angry about it, or they feel they're being attacked. And for some reason, maybe it's our society, but like men just don't speak like straight on, like say what's happening. And I don't think
It
there's
takes
any
practice, and there's no role models. We don't have.
Yeah.
Since Reagan, it's been all codependent presidents, all fatherless presidents, abandoned presidents since Reagan, Ronald Reagan.
Actually, that's quite true. Yeah.
You mean
So
you mean Reagan wasn't codependent with Nancy?
Nancy was the president.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
happened.
Yeah, what the
So
fuck?
he was codependent
Okay, just making sure.
since Reagan.
Inclusive of.
Yeah, inclusive of
Oh, you're
Reagan,
including
so-
Reagan. Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have models
Jimmy Carter
of
was
men.
all right, wasn't it?
He's before Reagan.
Yeah,
I
he had
I
some
barely
other
remember him,
issues,
so.
but yeah, he didn't follow what.
Were Deef, were you alive?
I was alive, but I was probably.
I remember
single
Jimmy
digits.
Carter
Yeah, Deef's around
and
Bradford
Nixon
and
and
my
Ford.
yes.
No one
I
is.
know
We
my
don't have
American
role
history.
models of that whole male energy, and slowly the movement has been to just shut all masculine expression. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
And George W. I don't know what the hell his problem was.
he was
He's actually had a
he was
redemption.
alcoholic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, his father. I mean, I don't know what the hell. I don't understand that.
His father was
But
absentee.
interesting in the rear, he looks better in the rear view mirror than he did at the time. I find that very interesting as well. That there's been a redemption, perhaps not necessarily justified. It seems to be he's seen like a sweet little old man that's friends with the Obamas.
Because he's behaving.
I think
and
just compared to Trump, he looks
compared
like
to Trump. Yeah.
Also, because Dick Cheney was the president.
That's true.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So partially, a lot of women want to have a male figure that can just stand or die. But that's so rare. And a lot of men haven't been initiated into adulthood, so they don't know stand or die.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, doesn't society and your moms and your fathers tell you from men from a young age, suck it up?
We don't have those.
Yeah, but that's squashing. That's not stand or die.
That's not standard diet. Eric and Kurt are saying that that's been squashed in them. They're not allowed to be angry. And
Well, yeah,
moms-
there are lots of different conflicting messages that the world tells us, and we do our best to reinterpret them daily.
It's a lack of initiation. That'd be my argument.
Yeah.
Take you out into the
There's a-
woods and make you kill a lion or something.
Yeah,
And there are courses
traditional
that
way.
would do that. Yes, there is that whole sort of chopping up wood sort of
Sure.
stuff. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
there's all that shit, but then you still have to reintegrate to society. So what's the point of all those fucking stupid programs when society is still fucked up?
It's not though.
Well,
These same guys that you complain get all the good women and who get all this
I don't
other
complain.
they're behaving. No,
I'm
not
not
you.
complaining.
Guys who are like less this way often
Okay.
complain, right? Oh, they get all the women. Oh, they're assholes, and the good guys.
Yeah, that's
finish
just
last.
whiny. That's
Oh,
just whiny bullshit. Those are
Okay.
pansies who need to be
Whiny
fucking discarded.
guys, continue your argument. What's the second half?
Yeah. Well, now that you've talked about all
Because
these
women actually
wankers,
secretly want the
who
bad
cares
boys.
about them? Now go on
Right,
talking
but
about
you're
the
calling
whiny
them
wankers.
bad, but the ones who are quote unquote bad are the ones who hold their space, right? Like women are attracted to that.
yeah, but then they keep going and then they roll over us. We just want the one who, we want. Yeah, so that's
Well,
why
there's
we end up-
something attractive about that rebel energy. But a lot of those people are just like bad boys, don't care. So they're not integrated masculine adult energy. They're just
Right.
rebellious.
They're just children. They're not
Cowboys.
artists.
So they have a
They're-
cowboy rebellious. I'm doing my way, my things my way.
Yeah.
But integrated adult masculine takes on more responsibility in society, or is willing to jump on the knife or throw yourself on a grenade. And that's not, no one honors that now.
Yeah, there's a lack of respect for honor.
But there's
And-
still a
and
female
courage.
desire to see it, or see it expressed, but it's squashed down or in the shadows.
And when I said, I want to see you lead, you said, stop taking my manhood away. You felt your
Yeah, that's
manhood.
emasculating to say, "See you lead." Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best in life. Like, what the fuck? I'm not leading. You don't know me. Like, what the fuck?
That's a projection Holly was probably doing based on her childhood.
That was a really like big projection. That really stunned me. Luckily, I was getting
I
off
was
90.
really
95.
fucking pissed off
Yeah,
at that.
that was
Yeah.
like a real provocation.
Well, I'm using the word lead, but what I'm speaking to is
Is
what Pete was
emasculating
talking about.
men. Yeah, you're fucking with people. Yeah, no, it's wrong.
You're grabbing us by the balls, Holly, and you're squeezing really fucking tight. That's what's going on. And we don't like that.
Yeah, go
Guys
fuck
don't
yourself.
like that.
She grabbed just one ball in the whole sack, and then she like twisted. So that was even more.
Yeah,
That's a
don't do
different thing.
that.
That's okay.
One is okay.
Just a little
Two
gentle,
is-
but you do that, no, you're in trouble.
That's how there was no response to that though. I was like, whoa, I
No.
thought it was gonna be
See
me
what
on the
happens?
bounty until
Fuck
Brad
around
was
and-
this was
Fuck
fun.
I
around and
was-
find out.
I was apoplectic.
But why is there a need to resort to such
Thank you.
humanizing?
Thank you.
Why do we have this knee-jerk thing like this? Our survival instincts to just destroy at the greatest pain point. And we're supposedly codependent, and with all these high ideals of being
Yeah, which are you
getting triggered.
thanking? Which are you thanking, Deb? That why do we have to do it, or why do we have to respond?
Debbie left the room.
He's busy giving a
No,
drink.
I'm right here. I'm right here. I just,
Yeah, she's speaking from aside the
no,
camera.
I needed to eat something. One second.
Make a
I'm coming
drink.
back.
That's okay. Make a drink.
Food.
Really?
Yes,
Is that
we
obvious?
know your triggers.
You can't hide even outside of the camera.
Not hiding. I have to eat. So it runs into dinner hour. I have to eat carrots. I feel like my very first, Bradford, you weren't here for my first meeting, was women talking about literally dressing up and paid to kick men in the balls. I feel like I've come full circle.
There's a lot of testicle action going on tonight, which is
Yes.
so.
It was quite a lively, my first meeting was quite lively in that way, where I just kind of sat like, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. And I was completely enlightened.
About what? Men being kicked in the balls?
No, women actually like being paid and men signing up to be kicked in the balls
Oh,
and
yeah.
paying women to kick them in the balls.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of people out there with me issues. Mummy issues, dad issues, right? Don't believe me, gay men are blessed with more daddy issues than Focus Decay.
But to Deep's
Mummy
point,
issues as well.
to Deep's point, why do we have to or feel the need to enter into these arguments, male, female? It's a fight to the death, a fight to win. What?
I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, in this instance, I don't think it's about a fight to death. I think this is this is what happened earlier was a separate discussion around other things. I think in general, I think there's masculinity is quite threatening to some people, male and female. Men that are scared of their own masculinity, terrified of it, because they know that if they actually got to express it, they'd demolish the house brick by brick. Right? And that's why I said, I sense the men in this group are angry, because I see very calm, gentle faces. You guys are just lovely, right? But underneath that, fucked off, pissed off, angry, can't say a word. Can't talk.
Yeah, I mean that the masculine, the attack on masculinity, the why don't you men lead? You're not leaders. You're not stepping up. Kind of that thing that really spoke to the emasculating bullshit that I would get from my ex-wife, my BPD ex-wife, who would pull out the rug from under me at the moments when I had shared something with her, and she would turn it around to emasculate me in the most obscene moments. That I would just be like, "Did you just fucking do that? Like, what the fuck? You know, you expect me to be, you know, for the world to begin and end in in your world, and for the sun to rise and set in your world, and yet you know, when I share and show openness, you turn that around as a weapon against me when you're angry. What the fuck?"
And then she expects you to cuddle.
Yeah, and then to have you know, an emasculating discussion where it's like, you men need to do X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z, and if you're not doing it, you're not a man. Like, fuck that shit. That really triggered me, and you know, that was right there under the surface, and I didn't say anything, but it was right there.
And notice she wasn't very triggered by the opposite, right? Because if you're supposed to be more of a man, then she was supposed to be more of a woman and stop being so masculine. And saying, you know, be more submissive didn't hit anything. So yeah, you could see there was your other stuff kind of
Because
got.
deep down, what women want is a bad boy.
You said that earlier. I'm not 100% sure about that.
I've been there, done that. I've been the bad boy for many years.
Are you a bad boy?
I am a recovered drug dealer, and you know, multi-100-mile-per-hour driver, and with motorcycles and skating down San Francisco on rollerblades, passing, you know, cabs, and you know, fucking black diamond skiing and jumping out of airplanes, all that fucking bullshit.
Nice.
Here's what I presented earlier. There you go. Perfect. Brilliant. But
A lot of information.
round of applause for that, mate. Well done.
I don't know.
I like you 20% more now than I
I did. That was really my goal.
did.
You know, that's all that matters. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's kind of hot. Yeah, that's get me some of that, right? But that's true. That's why. That's, you know, I joke about this. I have a client, a fintech client in Brisbane, and they refer to themselves as the pretty girl at the party because everyone wants to do business with them at the moment. They're really popular. And I went, yeah, just don't go home with the bikie.
Don't go home with the bikie, meaning like a bike.
Don't go home. You're the girl at the party. That's great. Don't go home with the bikie, with the gang member, right? Because that's what the pretty girl does, because it's right. And that's a bit of probably a twisted metaphor, but essentially that's what happens. Look, in my part of the world, right, I can be Mr. Nice Guy, but you want to play dress up and put on the leather man's hat and the reflected sunglasses and all that, bingo. They're all yours, whatever they want. Whatever you want, really. That's how it works. But if you try to do that in real life, you get slaughtered. No one's gonna believe it.
Well, that's an image, but I think I know what you're talking. There's something behind that you're referring
It's
to.
the authoritarian,
It's
in
the dominating.
control,
Exactly.
dominating. You're going to do as you're told, and you're going to shut up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's not what I want. That's not what I want.
Okay, at a very primal level, to want that in the beginning, and then after when it levels off, I don't think that's what
Sustainable. No.
It's not sustainable.
It's a fantasy.
It's not sustainable.
It's a fantasy. It's a form of love bombing. It's a fantasy.
50 Shades of Grey.
Definitely. I mean, not for me. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
Viper
It's
is
complete
not.
nonsense.
It's probably an archetype.
Yeah.
But underneath the archetype, there's different expressions of integrated masculinity. But since there's so limited expressions, and maybe that teenage year of women and men, there's a natural drive towards the bad boy. But it's a different goal with a borderline.
It's all
because
just pain.
because the end goal with a borderline is that you want them to go. you
want to save your time from 3 hours of monologue.
You don't want to escalate them, and you want to get.
That's just it.
You
escalate
you.
Borderline, you just realize what's going on and you get the fuck out of there.
Right, I'm like Kurt. Like I need to put on my exit shoes. I got my tool.
Yeah, look at the time. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm gonna put on my exit shoes. And I'm out.
There's just no answer. There's no.
Well, the borderline wants containment. They want to not be alone, so they just want to suck you to stay there, so that you and them both drown. That's their goal. Now, accountability, Iman's trying to get the borderline or the X or whatever to take responsibility. You would need leverage, so you wouldn't just do a blame attack and expect them to be rational. You would need to get some leverage first. So that's where you're taking a narcissistic pointer and then you're trying to apply it to a borderline, which is a different. It's not a perfect match. It sort of works, but. But then, by us talking about this, by Iman defending himself too much, that's your emotional flashback where you have to work on yourself.
With what?
Because just the memory of
cut
this
out.
triggers.
I think I got more triggered because I'm not talking that much, and then every time I've gone to talk tonight, someone's cut in or interrupted me, or has been like,
"Oops."
What was that?
Right,
what?
See? See?
How are you? Maybe you're
so I know
using
you're
law of
picking on me
attraction to make sure you
because-
get cut off.
I mean, losing what?
I'm letting you talk.
Well, I was, but anyway, that was it.
I was playing Bradford's video and it just jumped. That's why there's an interruption.
Okay, that was the whole thing. I think I'm more triggered by every time I've gone to talk, I've been interrupted, or as I'm trying to put together my thoughts and sentences. So you're doing it now. Stop. As I'm trying to put my
does that feel
thoughts
like your
and
ex?
steps together. So you're doing this on purpose. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Do it. All right, go ahead.
Does that feel like your ex?
No,
Did you have
I'm not answering
escalate.
questions like that.
Iman, escalate. Get loud.
No, I walk away. I've done that for 5 years. I didn't come here to do it more.
Still in your head. I'm asking you a question. Does that feel like your ex? I started that earlier by saying, were you triggered by being defensive in the past? There's a pattern to my argument. So I'm not just messing with you to interrupt you to make you relive the stuff. You're already reliving being interrupted. You made that argument. So we've given you space to make the argument. Now I'm trying to say,
Move on. I don't want the space right now.
see, that's how easy you are to trigger. And that's fine. But we're still here. I'm not as verbal as Bradford to say.
We are still here, Mon.
Rupture repair, blah, blah, blah.
We are still here.
Well, I've already said it twice. I don't have anything else to say. I said that was my whole point, was when I tried to talk several times, and each time I either got interrupted, or as I'm trying to put my thoughts together, it's like this disruption, that disruption, and there's no space to talk. And then now you say I have space, and in the middle of it, you're asking questions. So it throws me off balance, it throws me off track, and then I can't get what I wanted to say out. And it also makes me forget what I was saying before because it's redirecting to something else. And then that causes me to get annoyed and frustrated or triggered or whatever you want to label, whatever you're labeling us.
So how are you going to get over that? Because people are going to interrupt all the time, right?
Yeah, and I just usually, like at work, this happens a lot too. I just sit there quiet until they've run out of steam, and then I'll throw in a comment, and then I'll have their attention, and then I'll speak when I have attention. But I don't like talking over people.
But that's a tantrum, right? That's like a tantrum.
What's a tantrum?
Not talking because you don't feel like people are talking over you.
That's not a not talking because they're talking over me. I'm
sure.
If there's no space to talk, I'm not going to sit there and try to fight to talk over people.
Why
so
don't you
I'll just wait.
He's not
You
getting
could make
respect.
space. Huh?
He's not getting respect, so he shuts down.
Come on, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, I found it
Tantrum.
disrespectful. I find it very disrespectful.
What's the basis of the respect?
I don't know, but that's just how I feel.
Oman, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you have moments of clarity when you have an argument and you get angry? Do you find clarity when you get angry? Like the words come easier when you get angry?
No.
No?
It's the opposite. Usually if I'm calm, I can speak clearly. When I get angry, I get kind of like I take jabs at people.
Tantrum. Right? You're actually angry.
When I'm angry, yeah.
But why does it make you angry that someone is interrupting you in a conversation with a lot of people?
I was answering a question, and in the middle of my question, before I could even answer the question, I'm being interrupted with another question. So you want to go ahead?
No, finish. You're saying you want to do something?
Listen, you want me to answer something, and then I'm trying to put together the response and answer. I don't know if I'm not responding fast enough. It's a partial response, and then there's a tangent injected in, and it goes off somewhere else.
Right, but for example, I also had tried to get stuff into this conversation, but I just realized I wasn't getting in fast enough or in the place that I need to get into. Like, I don't understand why that makes you angry.
I didn't say angry. I just said
Well, then you have a tantrum, which means
away.
You're a little angry, or a lot of angry.
No, that's. I don't think anger is the emotion. It's more annoyed.
Which is being angry, right?
I don't know.
If you're a wheel, there's just anger. Not bad, good. None. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that you're angry. My question is, why does not being able to talk in a conversation with a lot of people make you angry instead of make you like motivated? For example, there are other things you could be motivated, You could write down your thoughts while these motherfuckers are talking so that you get right in and say your thoughts. Like, why is anger the thing that comes?
I don't, well, again, I don't think it's anger, but I just, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you right now. I'd have to think more about it.
I think that's shutting down. I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm not like forcing, I'm waiting for your answers. You have all the space.
Yeah,
Or-
but I don't have an answer for you, like to tell you. I just like I don't know if it's my upbringing. I found it. I find it this. Okay.
Is it like if I could add, does it feel like you there's a mechanism that kind of turns off the anger when the conflict arises? Because that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like that's what when Bradford says the men in this group are angry. Well, I haven't really done anything angry, but he can senses the anger because he knows I have a switch because I'm not allowed to be angry.
But were you angry?
No, I wasn't, but I'm sure. Well, I probably am, but I'm just used to of always having to contain the anger. So then we saw me containing my anger, but we saw Kirk just said, you know what, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. You see what I mean? He released, I didn't. So you can kind of see the switch.
I have to say, when I heard you tell your story tonight about getting out of the car and having this confrontation with this woman, I was surprised, because you pull off calm, cool, and collected really well. And I didn't know if I guess I was like, wow, he has an edge. Like he has emotion back there. I'd like to see you express it.
Right, but you're also taught to contain it. You always have to contain that. We have to contain the negative emotions in society, period. And then part of one of these things that we're learning in groups is that for some of us, it's even harder because society wants you to own now. Oh, you can recognize your anger, but now you can only recognize certain anger, like race anger. Oh, that's
So
you can't recognize that. You know what I mean?
I do.
You still have to compartmentalize it and keep it under the surface. And then when you get used to doing that, you become numb, and then you can't really. That's why you need the color wheel. You can't figure out that you're angry because you're used to turning off the negative emotion so much.
Pillow screaming.
Especially when it's pretty obvious. So also that kind of gets, it kind of gets dissonant because you're insisting that you're not angry when it's pretty obvious. Oh, I pooted, sorry. It's pretty obvious that there's anger. It's like with what's his name? What's the guy name who pissed off the other day?
Ania Khan.
Right? You can feel the anger through the screen, but he's like, oh no, I just want to learn.
I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time to recognize it and then express it in a group setting. Yeah.
I think you're feeling anger because when Deef was doing it, I thought he was doing it on purpose, and that part did anger me. But to your part, yeah, that's what angered me. but to your
you're
part,
less pissed off if I'm doing it not on purpose.
Yeah, because it's unintentional. Like we both just try to talk at the same time. To Adrian's point, like we're in a big group, and a lot of people are going to end up talking over each other. That's different, and you can feel the difference where, like, someone's kind of doing it to cut you off specifically versus just two people happen to be talking at the same time, and there's just a lot of people in the group. Like there's a difference there. There's a distinction there. If that makes sense.
So did you take my cutoff as a embedded message for you to shut up?
Yeah, either that or Ania Khan's not here, so you're trying to trigger me to make an example of something.
See, so my intention was different, and I tried to articulate that, but the interruption and the urgency of your past history of being interrupted made you make a shortcut thinking I'm trying to just shut you up or trigger you.
It's possible. I was constantly interrupted. Anytime I tried to express something, and then I was shamed for it.
Who shamed you?
My ex.
Oh, I see.
It would be like, oh,
Is
you're
she here?
bitching and whining. You're not even a man, or blah blah blah, and all this other stuff.
Is she here though?
Who?
You used to date Debbie.
What? What's Debbie got to do with it?
Meaning, is your ex like in this session?
No, obviously not.
So that's my question. That's my point. Like, I see you're triggered, so I understand why you're referring back to her. But in reality, like, that bitch ain't here.
Yes.
Okay, I know that.
Which means that you can maybe make another assumption about what's going on.
Well, Dave just admitted he did it on purpose. So my assumption wasn't wrong.
Well, no, your interpretation of it.
You had the
That's what I
interpretation.
just
Yeah, my
explained to you.
interpretation was wrong. But
Yeah.
Hey, that's more intuitive than I have been, so I still give myself partial credit.
So, but even before Deef started the interruption to the interruption, you were triggered prior to that because I was talking and because somebody else was talking to you and asking you questions before you could respond.
No, because you asked something, and then I literally went to answer your question, and then as I'm trying to answer that, everyone jumps in. It's like, we're not talking about your story. We're not talking about your story. I'm like, I'm not talking about my story either. I'm trying to answer you. But it's like I barely got a couple words in, and everyone jumped in and said that. I don't know why you all assumed that I was going to talk about my story when I was trying to answer your question. That
Why don't you fight for your space?
I did.
No, you didn't. You said, I'm not going to talk anymore.
No,
I did at one point, and I did the other point.
Yeah, initially he said, I keep getting interrupted. I'm not going to talk anymore. So it was a defense mechanism.
It was like black and white. It was like either all you shut up and let me talk, or I'm not going to talk. And then you came back from it, right? And then started over again.
Yeah, I think it was defense mechanism because it's like, okay, so if you're not gonna let me talk, that means you don't want me to talk, and I don't want to talk somewhere where what I have to say is not valued. So I don't need to say anything or waste my breath or energy, and that's kind of why I shut down.
Like all the jumps that you made.
Yeah, I know, but that's I'm verbalizing it so you guys can understand what I went through.
Iman, did you need permission?
What do you mean?
Did you need permission to speak?
I don't think I needed permission to speak, but I needed space to speak. And I'm in the listen mode a lot more than I'm in talk mode on here. So I hear when everyone's talking over each other, you can't understand. No one, like you hear no one, like you hear none of it. It's just a garble, especially over Zoom. So, you're like everyone's talking, but no one's being heard in that case.
Does anyone make comments about, you said like at work, for example, like if everybody's talking, you'll like wait and then you'll throw in your thing at the end when you have their attention. Has anyone commented about that?
Yeah, usually the comment is like, oh, you're not saying much, or you're not speaking up, or I'll get to the point where they're like, okay, like you haven't said much. What do you think? And then that's where I'll talk.
And how do they, like, are there other people, are you the only one who's like kind of quiet, or are there other people who are quiet? Because I'm thinking maybe you're giving off anger, which is why they're asking you.
What do you mean? They're not asking me like, are you pissed off? They're like, you've been quiet. Why don't what do you think? Or something like that.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if there's somewhere where I have to interject, I will speak up. It's not like I'll just sit there and like not say anything. But for me, it takes a lot of energy to try to talk over people. Because when I talk over people, I need to raise my voice, and every time I raise my voice, people think like, "Oh, calm down, what's going on?" Because when I speak normally, my voice is kind of calmer, softer than like, when I raise my voice, I've been told it comes off more aggressive or something. So
Are you an only child?
no, I'm not.
How do you talk in your house? Or how did you talk in your house? Like, how'd you get heard? Were there just two of you?
Just me and my sister and my parents. My parents never. It was not like chaotic or anything. Like when we spoke, others let each other speak. It wasn't a competition of trying to talk over each other.
Mm.
But it's not like a large family either. It's like four of us.
Iman, do you have a temper?
Everyone has a temper. What specifically are you digging for?
I sent Deef a link to a movie. It's probably not appropriate for now, but it's a wonderful movie called The King's Speech. And if anyone's ever seen it, the king had a terrible stutter, and he was coached by an Australian. And the way the coach got him to stop stuttering was to make him angry because he had a filthy temper. And when he got angry, he didn't stutter. And it's a poignant. Yeah, it's a very poignant. He sits on St James's chair in Westminster Abbey and mocks it, and eventually the king loses his shit at yeah, there it is, the King's Speech, and the whole thing goes for 5 or 6 minutes. That's too long here, but it was a repressed anger that he couldn't speak because his father had belted him into submission for so long, and he had this stutter. And I just wondered if not that you have a stutter.
It's a really great movie now. I don't remember.
I've seen the movie
about the king.
Yeah. King George the Fifth. Sixth. King George the Sixth. Elizabeth's father.
So Iman,
Queen's father.
He had to give the war speech. Yeah.
Iman, if you don't have a way to stand up for yourself in the moment and you feel like you need to sit back and wait until people ask you what you want to say, instead of being able to stand up and say what you want without getting angry, there's a problem that you might look at in yourself. It's not the problem with the other people around you. It's that you have a problem inside yourself, that you have an either end of the extreme answer, that you have to either be quiet and they listen or angry and they listen. But there is an in between where you can raise your voice reasonably and be heard. And that's what that's what Adria, I think, was trying to get at with her questions.
Okay, I can appreciate that. That's something to think about.
Can we please have more angry man classes? This is fun.
Yeah, fuck you, Eric. What the hell?
I'm waiting for Eric.
Eric, shut the fuck up, Eric.
Yeah, fuck you, man. I need you to get mad. Like, you haven't got mad yet. You're kind of annoying me. With your little expert microphone and all kind of thing you got over there.
Yeah, what the hell? You know, Mr. I get the perfect camera and the pretty pictures
and
of
the
myself.
perfect like leather
Yeah,
chair.
Fuck off, man.
With the little lined up pictures in the back.
You have a podcast, Eric?
I know he's like a podcast.
Yeah, you got your little Mr. I'm Not a Leader podcast, Eric.
You're like Kevin Samuel's understudy.
So anger for me always came in terms of irritability. So that's what this is
Irritability
all
could be
about for me.
depression.
Yeah. So shaking off the irritability is what the goal is for me.
We're going outside and mowing the lawn.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty angry, man. Back down. Slow down.
Yeah, easy there, cowboy. Easy there.
Calm down.
I don't want to have to throw you guys out, right? You know, just,
I don't know, man.
getting a bit.
Watch out.
Oh, you know, the last round of drinks for you guys. That's it. That's. You know.
Woo, did Eric get angry?
Yeah, he had to leave and go make a
Yeah, we
drink.
tried, but we didn't get too far.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get my wheel out.
We're poking him with poking him with a stick, but it's not working.
I mean, for those of you that are blessed with the ability to make a poignant point and get your words out and say and make your point and create your boundaries very eloquently and without anger. No, just in general. But
Wow,
Brad,
just like you
you're
just,
saying,
just
for
you
those
just
of you
did then.
For those of you who
It's
have
like
that,
maybe you
just
just
go
did-
find a
you're
PPD.
blessed. You're blessed. For those of you who are so blessed to have.
You're
So
projecting.
blessed.
I have to get angry.
You're projecting. You just did it.
Absolutely. I know. I did it on purpose. It's
Good save.
hard.
That's a really good save. Yeah.
It's hard for me that I have to get angry sometimes to make a point, to make my thoughts like come together and flow out.
Clear, strong, yes.
What's wrong with
It's
that?
almost like that war dance, right? You gotta like boom, I need to project my power and through that with words.
Own
And
your
you have
voice.
to create this energy.
Yeah.
Well, Grannon said
must
last
feel
week,
terrible.
you have to break your boundaries, society's boundaries, and other people's boundaries to get things done.
And it's draining.
It's draining. Why is it draining? You're trying to stop it?
Because we want the world to comply to our wishes. They should just listen.
No.
Why do we even have to say anything?
I don't think that's what she's saying. I don't hear her saying that.
Why aren't you guessing what I want?
Know that if
You
you
really love
sometimes
me,
if
you
you
do.
want to make a point, that for me personally, not everybody, that I have a hard time connecting poignant thoughts with my speech. So I can have
think
all
you're
the
doing
thoughts in my head,
I think you're
but
doing a
actually
beautiful
be
job.
able to do flow of conversation.
Yeah, you're not really selling your point because you're doing it just fine.
I've got some serious cognitive dissonance going on here because
Okay, and I
You're
have
not
to
really-
what you're trying to
It's
so your
You're not selling
homework,
it.
Deb. Okay,
Come
so,
on, you're
so
not
everyone's
selling
got
it.
homework. You've
The
got to
snow
watch.
is not cold
Everyone
enough.
is going to watch the
I
King's
believe
speech
her.
this week. You're going to
I
watch the
believe
King's
her.
speech this week and report back next week.
I
We've
think
seen it.
she's
We've seen
lying. I think she's lying to us. What do you think, Amon?
Uh-oh.
Gaslighting. Pure gaslighting.
wow.
Look,
Okay.
I believe you, Deb, because this is easy to do
Eric
on camera,
believes you.
especially if you have
I've
a
also
fancy
had 2
microphone
glasses
and
of
you're Mr.
wine,
Cool,
so
but in live action battle,
Oh,
that's a
the
different
wine.
thing.
well, that's the thing. Like I don't want it to be live action battle. I'd like to be able to have that flow of thought. And sometimes I do. They get conflicted and they spit out and they don't make any sense. I don't feel like I make sense.
But talk anyway. I mean, I have
Yeah.
the same issue at times, and people often I find that people like will rephrase what I said, and then the person will be like, "Oh, but hey, fuck it," you know.
Yeah, throw it out there. Maybe there'll be a codependent in the room who can rephrase it for you.
No. I mean, I'm not saying I'm waiting for the person to do it, but like people will just do that, and then the person will get the same thing that I just said 5 minutes ago. But if I stopped trying, then I'm never going to be able to like say that thing the way that I want to say it because I have practice talking.
But Deb, who's told you this? Where have you got this feedback from?
17 years of being married to someone who just
Squashes you.
So I think it's Yeah, I don't think it's your stuff.
No, I think some of it's my stuff. Some of it's my stuff. Some of it is that I felt that I feel now that I'm in a place where I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I want calm after a long time of being told, you go after this person, you go after that person, and specifically in contractors and construction. But it was just the constant. It was just the constant, like, oh, when you go out, you smile, you turn it on, you do this, you do that, you don't say anything, you don't make any sense. You know, you talk for the
You were
sake
being gaslit.
okay, but I don't really want to talk
That's
about my
the point I
story
was
tonight.
getting
But
at.
Yeah,
That's the point I was getting at
you'd
too,
like to
yeah.
mostly not tell your story, but you were being gaslit.
I know that. I know that.
But that tactic, pointing that out, is only so useful. The effects of the gaslighting is the doubt and the confusion, and I'd argue that it's your mind going blank, which I happen to have one video I put on my channel about this.
Scares the shit out of me to just truly not know what I'm gonna say next. Scares the
It's
shit
this
out of me to just
added
truly
anxiety.
not know what I'm gonna say next. Scares.
That's the trigger. That's what all those years of gaslighting made you doubt what you're about to say, saying things right. All that accumulated emotional flashbacks and trauma is making you overthink talking.
Yeah, because
the only way to do that is you need anger to try to give you an extra punch to feel it.
And that was my point, that I was trying to empathize with Aman, that it takes that anger and saying, wait a minute, I do have a point. I can be, you do have a voice. You do make sense.
It only takes that anger at the beginning when you need to retrain the muscle, when you need to overcome that barrier. But none of us really know what we're going to say next. I mean, unless we're complete fucking control freak, crazy motherfuckers you wouldn't want to be around. None of us knows what we're going to say next. We just say what flows with our humanity, with our personality, with what fits, with who we are in a stream of, you know, our being. But you know, you don't know what you're going to say next. So that level of like pretend control, like, oh my God, what am I going to say next? Fuck, who knows? Nobody knows.
So I've taken another tactic, and I listen not to respond. I listen to listen to everybody, and I listen not to respond. So that's when you see me go sniper still, is that I'm actively listening, but I'm not listening to respond. I don't need to interject. I want to hear what everybody has to say.
It's certainly not a terrible thing. I mean, it's a good.
I don't.
But it's just. But it does. If you rely on that too much, you're not participating. You're not in the moment. You're not there. You know, someone may not even notice that you're around.
Okay. And that's okay.
That's a good strategy.
Huh? I'm sorry.
I feel it.
She's a sniper. Sniper still.
Sniper
like assassin. Adria.
No, I was gonna say also, Deb, I sense this. I don't know if this is what was actually happening, but when Kurt and Bradford were saying to you that you're doing it well right now, you know, you've been gaslit, whatever. I kind of felt like it was before that point, but I felt like you were kind of taking their reality at some point instead of holding on to your own. Like, it could be that you were being swayed, you know, like an argument, but also
that I was doing what well. I was doing what well.
You were explaining yourself. Remember, you were saying like, I can't really talk. I can't really explain myself. And I kind of, because you believe that, I kind of expected you to be like, no, I'm not. Like, this is not what I want. This is not how I want to be communicating or something. And I thought either maybe they just were really explaining their side to you well, and that's why you were being swayed toward their side, or
No,
You
I
kind of-
agree with you that's what I wish I could have said. Exactly what you just said. I wish I could say. I don't feel like I'm communicating well. See, I couldn't get those words out, but that's what I meant.
She wanted
But
to
I think
take a
it's that
stand.
you feel that you're not doing that and that you actually are doing that. And that's the cognitive dissonance, because the reason I jumped on that was because what you were saying and what you were doing were two completely different things. But I think that you've been gaslit to Carl to the earlier point. You've been gaslit so much that you believe that you're not communicating properly. You're not doing this, and you actually are.
And
And
Adria,
that's hard to handle. That's tricky.
Adria, were you getting to the point where maybe were you implying that maybe Deb, you were to some degree living off of the reality of others, that you didn't believe it in yourself, and so you have found a way to accidentally, I mean, this is a codependent thing. I mean, I know I find it myself where I live off of the reality of others. If others say, no, you're doing a great job, then I believe I'm doing a great job. But I don't believe it if I hear it myself. But if I hear it from others, if I elicit it from someone else, then it's real. Then you know, so because we were saying it that and you didn't react to it, that maybe you were falling into a pattern of, okay, maybe it's okay. You know, I've elicited this feeling from Kurt and Bradford that they've said, like, I must be doing it okay.
No, that's
No,
a
she
reach.
said no multiple times, and you
That's
kept
a
going
reach.
and didn't notice her no, Kurt. What's wrong
No,
with
because my question
No,
was to
that's a
my
reach
question
because-
was to add Adria.
It's a reach, Deb. What?
no means no. I'll go with Deb. It was her thing.
No means no.
I was more seeing like that she was more inclined to agree with you instead of holding her space. But that was it. I wasn't going that
I
far.
was listening to what he was saying, and I was trying to think about how I felt, and the answer is no. The self-doubt is still here. That it almost feels like a hiccup, like between the cognitive thoughts that I have and the words that come out of my mouth, that I don't feel that they flow and sound as well
Not
as some
accurate.
points that are made here.
Yes. People
Like
didn't give
it's
space
very,
for her.
it's very uncomfortable, and it comes, it's deep, like it's deep, and it fucking sucks. It fucking
This sucks.
Scares the shit out of me to just truly not know what I'm gonna say next. Scares the shit out of me
That
to
would've
just
been
truly not know what I'm gonna say next.
But it's brave for Deb to step out and say that. But because you notice how brave she is saying it, but also how vulnerable she is, then you guys jump in and tell her she's doing great, being great codependents. But she needed to step out and feel her voice. That was more important than getting the validation.
I want to contribute. I want to be part of this.
She wants the skill. She didn't want the validation.
And
this is triggering her because this is 17
no,
years.
it started with I'm still here. That started my night.
Oh, Bradford, you triggered her with that somehow.
And this is really, really hard. Like I'm in uncharted territory, and I'm with people I don't know. And
what? We hung out.
Well, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, you totally know us. What are you talking about? What more is there to know?
Hey, listen, I got an excuse. You don't, okay? So.
But for whatever reason, it's also a safe space. Like I want to be uncomfortable, and I want to feel awkward, and I want to be out of my comfort zone. And it's hard. It's hard.
It's vulnerable. It's risky.
It's real. No, you know what? It's fucking real. Because I feel like there was no real. I've had more real in the past 3 months with you all than I have had in the past 17 years. And the more
fuck,
that
I've been trying to end this group, and now I get more of this stuff.
Right? And I don't know. It's uncharted territory.
This is beautiful. See, Bradford, you were shit talking 2 hours of torture. But maybe that 2 hours was what opened Deb up. We don't know.
I had to go through 2 hours of shit torture to get
Well, and yeah, but then there was a reward.
to tell everyone
But
that
then
all
there
the
was
men
a
are angry.
Reward. We got to see rugby players, right?
And all the
There was a
women are
reward.
The hot rugby players.
What,
the men got
Adria?
to be angry, except Eric.
No, the
And
women are bullies.
Yeah, that's just fucking Eric. Whatever.
I
yeah,
mean, I got the party started. I brought up the subject that said that women had their own boundaries, right?
Hey, he's defending. Someone jump on that.
There you go.
I'm being so
I
bloody
started the
angry,
show.
Eric.
No, but we changed the boundaries. Wait, when I said
Yeah,
that
I
you
said
made me sad.
women make up boundaries all the time out of thin air.
As it
Just
should
like
be.
now.
I took the arrows. What are you talking about?
You can't navigate that. I don't care. You cannot navigate that. That's horrible. I'm still pissed about that
Shocked.
too.
Fantastic.
Moving the goalpost.